name. You don't even own your own fucking brand. You can't come in and say like, oh, we're Team Liquid or we're NRG Esports or whatever. You're going to be the fucking London Spitfires, just this made up shit. And you're going to have a stadium where tens of thousands of fans are going to show up for every single match. And they're going to buy tickets, and they're going to buy confectionery, and they're going to buy fucking merchandise. This obviously doesn't work because esports is a global thing. People support teams. They don't support cities. People support players. They don't support random fucking owners of a franchise spot. People want to see the top level of competition. And when you have a league that has full rev share, where it doesn't matter if you're the worst team in the league or the best team in the league, you get roughly equivalent revenue share for sales and things, and there's no like relegation mechanic. You had teams in the Overwatch League that never won games because they just didn't care. They was just spending a minimum amount as possible so that they could just be in there, because they'd spent as much money as the other people to get in. So they were selling these billionaires on something that didn't exist. And in doing so, they created a structure around the maintenance of Overwatch the game that required the Overwatch development team to stop focusing on the players who were funding the game by buying microtransactions and playing the game, and that was an incredible success. And they had to start focusing on how can we make the game make money as an observer esport for the people who the higher ups above us have sold on this fucking ridiculous premise. And it got to the point where, as you can see here, Overwatch League and its billion-dollar investors start to interfere with work on Overwatch itself, or at the least the part that the public played. This included the development of Twitch integration, spectator camera controls, as well as skins in the form of team uniforms. In other words, the money people kept promising features that soaked up development resources. And Kaplan goes on to say, all your plans for Overwatch content and at that point kind of go out the window. You're not working on new world events, you're not focused on Overwatch 2, you're just treading water. We're just trying to help cash the checks that the people above us have sold to investors who just fucking want to see their money return as they were promised. But as this went on, the viewership of Overwatch League continued to go down. It peaked during the first game ever, and then it only went down from there. And this was with them heavily embedding streams. You opened the fucking Battle.net client, it was like playing the Overwatch League. You had Overwatch in the background, it was playing the Overwatch League. It was everywhere, and Twitch were pushing it because they invested $90 million in the first, it could have been the first year, but I can't remember exactly what the time frame was for having Overwatch League exclusively on Twitch. And then as the viewership started going down and all these money men were like, what you've sold us isn't working, that's when it started to get even worse, because there was more and more scandals about Blizzard every single year that made sponsors pull out. Then COVID happened and they couldn't do any in-person events. And anyone who's followed esports ever or who works in esports will tell you that this statement is true. Even now, with esports being as big as it is, the idea you could just weekly sell out stadiums and have attendants show up and buy tickets to come in a stadium and watch an esports game. Back in 2017, 2018, 2019, when this was, supposed to be happening, the idea you could do that it's fairyland. Like, most esports events, even for the big esports like Counter-Strike and Dota, had to give tickets away to people for free at almost all events, because when you host an esports event in like, oh, we'll do this big city, oh, we'll do Vegas, we'll do Los Angeles, whatever, the idea that there's going to be enough fans in that area on that day that wants to pay hundreds of dollars plus the thousands they're going to have to pay in travel and lodging, etc., to come in and watch an esports tournament it's ridiculous. It's mostly an online sport, and obviously nowadays, especially some big European cities and events, they do fill up. But even now, there's plenty of events for big esports where they have to give tickets away just so they don't have empty seats, and they have to reduce price of tickets closer to the event because they've still got tons left. And that's now. Think about this in like 2017. There's no way anyone who knew anything about the landscape would have thought it was realistic that they were going to sell out stadiums in fucking London and then New York the next week and then Shanghai the week after. Like, what? How would the logistics of this work? Like, it makes no sense. So, as Kaplan goes on to explain, he says originally the business model was just going to be that they, the Overwatch League, were going to do in-person events, and there's going to be big ticket sales and merch and all that. I think really quickly everybody learned we can't do in-game events. When we have a team in London and a Shanghai team, like, how does this work? So that fell apart super quickly. The merch was good, but it wasn't going to be making NFL money, whatever insanity people thought that was going to be. And then he goes on to say, so everybody, aka the investors, quickly defaulted back to, hey, didn't Overwatch make $500 million just in the live game last year? What can we sell and what can you give us? That pressure comes on the dev team and adds that pressure to ship Overwatch 2. And then all of the care and love that we have for the live game, the live service, like let's make events, new heroes, new maps, we're losing all those resources. Which really explains how Overwatch went from being... I mean, I've never been a big fan of Overwatch. But Overwatch was considered to be a huge game in...
So okay, we'll watch this twice. I'm gonna move on, but I just wanted to hear it again. Let's explore gaming.
So Crimson Desert is right around the corner, and I'll be honest, I haven't seen this level of hype for a game in a while. It is reaching the levels of hype that start to worry me, because I have seen what these sorts of expectations on a game do. And as a person who is tremendously excited for this game, I think that it is very much up my alley, and probably a lot of the regulars on the channel as well. I feel like a lot of the conversations I've seen online really don't get to the point of what the game is and who it's for, and instead focus on the incredible technology of the Black Space engine, the proprietary engine that Pearl Abyss has built for the game, and how great it looks. People talk a lot about the systems and how huge the world is and how many things you can do, and they don't really drill down neither into a lot of the problems that the game has from this recent preview event and from when I played it before that, and most importantly, what the game actually is. And I'm afraid that a lot of people are going to just want to jump into the next big thing that looks incredible and come away sorely disappointed with what it actually is, being a game that maybe isn't what they signed up for at all. So even just from the combination of previews and what I've played of the game, I want to make that clear. This isn't the next Witcher 3, this is not the next Red Dead Redemption 2. What it is an incredibly ambitious project that, while it tackles a lot of interesting things, its core gameplay is meant to appeal to a specific group of people, and to reach some of its ambitions and its commitment to things like immersion, it does have a lot of awkward jank to it. And here at the top of the video, I want to reiterate, I'm not making this video in order to trash the game, because I am very excited for it. But I do think it's worth taking a step back and actually looking at it and who this game is for. And hopefully you'll come away from this video with your expectations more in check, a better idea of if the game is for you, and especially what you should be looking out for when it comes to reviews before you commit both time and money to a game that maybe just isn't for you. And we've heard it a ton before. A game for everybody is a game for nobody. And I don't think that Crimson Desert is a game for nobody, but that means there's some people that just aren't gonna like it. By the way, hi, I'm Mug, and if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new here, welcome back. You are looking great. You look like you could be in the Black Space engine yourself. I know I'm not looking the best. I'm a bit sick, but hey, that happens. You know the usuals. If you like the video and what I'm talking about, if you think it's something worth sharing, hit the like button. It's the best thing you can do. And speaking of sharing, it doesn't matter if Crimson Desert ends up being your cup of tea or not, because I want you to also judge if this video's sponsor is your cup of tea, because this is a game that comes from a passionate team of developers that really want to create something special, and they want to invite you into the process of making that dream come true. And that is Tyr. Tyr is a free-to-play sci-fi infused tank shooter that puts its focus on positioning, planning, and precision in order to win instead of twitch reflexes. You choose from an assortment of highly customizable tanks, each with their own unique identity given that sci-fi flair, to fulfill your role in 8v8 battles where strategy is everything, because Tier aims to reward players that play smart and with their team in order to win. It also puts a heavy emphasis on being very friendly to new players without the steep learning curve that a lot of vehicle combat games have, trying to put you into the fun as quickly as possible. And once you're having fun and you get into it and want to be competitive, you can rest assured that there is absolutely no pay to win in the game. Competitive fairness and integrity is at the heart of the game despite it being completely free, because again, it's about rewarding that planning and that strategy. So if you're looking for a different type of competitive game, one that might just be for you, something that isn't focused on hitting headshots as quickly as possible, you can wishlist Tier on Steam right now, and you can even join the playtest to help shape the future of the game. I even made it easier for you by having a link in the description that you can click and it'll take you there immediately. Look at that. It's completely free and it just might be the game for you. And thank you to Tier for sponsoring this video. So let's get down to business and talk about what Crimson Desert actually is. And it is a single-player action-adventure game set in an open world, the open world of Pywell, which is a massive land in which you take control of Cliff and go through a story while exploring the world, taking on side quests and things like that. What it isn't is an RPG, and I think that's a very important thing to talk about. Now, that might be a contentious statement.
Why was
Some
this
people
guy
might
faster than
consider
me?
it an RPG, but many others won't. And because RPG is a pretty broad term. I would liken it a lot more to something like The Legend of Zelda or even something like Red Dead Redemption. Zelda, I think, is the best comparison though, not just because of the whole islands in the sky with puzzles and gliding down onto the world, but because there is no outright leveling in the game. Progression of your skill trees and your abilities comes primarily from exploration reward, from finishing different quests, from actually engaging with the world, and from going out there and finding cool stuff that you can use. So while there is progression and there are rewards of loot and armor with different specifications that will make you stronger, there is no grinding in this game. There is no way of you just sitting down and eliminating enemies over and over and over again and leveling up and becoming stronger. It's not that sort of game, and from what we understand, a lot of the gear will end up being side grades or specializations and different weapon types more than just straight up upgrades, as if it were an ARPG sort of thing. Loot is a bit more special than that, and so is your overall power progression. And I think that matters a lot, by the way, because some people are going to have a different expectation of the game, maybe something more along the lines of a Witcher sort of situation. And that is not the case here. Instead, a lot of that progression comes from going out of the beaten path and just finding cool stuff out there that will allow you to become stronger. And again, that's very similar to a lot of how The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom worked, and it's something that I love about those games. They have a lot in common in the sense that both of those Zelda games are very systemic-driven games, where the biggest emphasis of the whole game was on rewarding your exploration throughout. And Crimson Desert seems to be imitating that as well. But that brings us to another question, and something that I tried to stress a lot in my preview of the game about 7 months ago, but bears repeating. A lot of the progression and the power structure of the game is on a character action game. Think something more along the lines of a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta than some of the more simplified combat systems we have seen in other games. Now again, to me, that's fantastic, but to a lot of people, that might rub them the wrong way. And that's because Crimson Desert has a bit of an awkward combination of those things. In a character action game, you traditionally fight enemies that are relatively strong and that force you to use a lot of your arsenal in order to take them down. From what I've played and what I've seen of the recent previews of the game, that doesn't seem to be the case. Really, the enemies where you're meant to use your arsenal are bosses, and most of the regular enemies that you face are kind of cannon fodder, which is not common for this gameplay style. In that regard, it kind of falls in line more with, shocker, Black Desert. The big problem with this character action system is that it can be very complicated. The stronger you get, the more access to moves and weapons and things that you learn throughout the game. It's not just going to make your character better with simple combos. It's not going to be like a Muso game where they just let you press square one more time in order to do an extra attack at the end of your combo. A lot of these moves for the open world action adventure genre have complex inputs to execute them. Think something more along the lines of Street Fighter, or some of the more complicated things you can do in Bayonetta. And those can lead to wrestling moves and suplexes and Izuna drops and cool combos and using your powers in the middle of a fight. But the problem is that if you're not willing to engage with some of the complexities that the game puts forth, the combat might not be very rewarding to you. Especially with one of the big questions here, which is how necessary are those cool combat moves and that progression going to be throughout the game? Because maybe in order to keep everybody happy, you can just button mash your way through most of everything, and really at that point a lot of the power progression just becomes you feeling really cool if you choose to engage with the cool but complicated to execute moves. And at that point, you're really playing the game in order to not look very flashy if you're not using them, and to potentially be forced into using some of those things for one of the over 70 different boss fights in the game. Which again, totally for me, but maybe not for you. And this is where I think we have to talk about the biggest problem with the game that I've seen and that I experienced firsthand, where a lot of the clunkiness and the jank kind of comes in, and that is the controls. Crimson Desert has,
Oh
from what
no,
I
did they
can
make
see,
it all
a
shitty?
tremendous commitment to immersion, to allowing Cliff or the other two playable characters to really exist in this world and kind of take your time, play it slow, talk to pretty much every NPC, just an attention to detail that's rarely seen in games. But in order for the game to have that commitment to immersion, to small interactables everywhere, to being able to pick up so many different things in the world and interact with them, that comes with a price to pay. And I think that focus mode is a great way of explaining this. And what I'm about to explain isn't even the most weird or complex series of inputs you have to do in the game, but it's one that you're going to do a lot. And that is, if you hold L1 while your sword is sheathed, you will enter focus mode. And focus mode allows you to kind of pinpoint with a little indicator on screen something in the environment, and it will show you what you can do contextually with it. That might sound like just a fun optional thing if you want to immerse yourself in the game, but it is 100% required for a lot of different things. For example, precision jumping requires you to just aim where you want to jump and then press the button and make sure that it doesn't accidentally, instead of letting you jump, try and make you interact with something around the area, which is weird and can be frustrating. But more importantly, focus mode is used in combat as well. Even back when I played the game, one of the key things from the tutorial was teaching people that you can enter focus mode and lift very heavy objects using your powers. This was used during the mission to kind of place these giant flags in place, but at the same time you could use this to lift many other objects. So during the boss fight at the end of my demo, the pillars in the boss arena can be destroyed, and then you can pick them up and smack them. And this is the best way to deal damage to the boss, and almost mandatory, at least with the stats I had during the demo. The problem is that means fighting the boss until he kneels down, basically until he's exhausted, and then turning around, sheathing your sword, pressing L1, focusing on the pillar, pressing the combination of buttons that leads to picking it up, and then controlling your character to interact by slamming. And if that sounds like a lot of steps for something, it's because it is. It's something that in many other games would just be a contextual action of you walk close to a pillar that's been thrown to the ground and you like press square or press triangle and you just smack the dude. And here, this systems-based approach requires you to do all of these different steps to get there. Now, maybe the existence of this system is for immersion and for keeping your options open at any given time, which seems to be something the game stresses, that there is a lot of creative freedom in how you tackle a lot of different things. But it is undeniably clunky and even required in the middle of combat. These same things extend to stuff like menus and UI, with one of the recent highlights from the previews being the use of the memory helmet, which allows you to experience events that happened in the past in a location you're at, but requires you to fumble through a series of radio menus to equip a helmet and then go into the focus mode with the helmet on in order to experience the memories. And there's just a lot of stuff like this where there's a series of steps that you have to take in order for stuff to work. And maybe the reward for all of that will be worth it. We don't know. There's a very good chance that these complicated controls and the way that the game chooses to allow you to interact with the world will become second nature over the course of the first 10 to 15 hours, and you'll be dipping in and out of focus mode for different contextual actions or to throw out your crazy grappling hook or whatever without a second thought. But I do think that this system and its commitment to it is going to have a lot of people bounce off it. Because if you're here exclusively for weird open world character action combat role-playing game, and instead of that you get all of these kind of clunky immersive sim style things that you need to do in order to get the most out of a combat scenario, or to solve a quest, or to solve one of the many puzzles in the game, maybe you're gonna bounce off it real quick. Which is another part of it all. Yes, combat is a core focus of Crimson Desert, and I am 100% on board with that. And if you've ever seen the channel, you know why. There's an Azuna drop. That's it, I'm good. But I feel like I'm in a unique boat where everything that Crimson Desert is putting down, I'm in for. I'm in for a little bit of jank and some strange stuff, but combining that with very rewarding exploration that leads to systemic design and a lot of different puzzles and potentially different ways of solving those puzzles that start to feel closer to ImSim stuff. The sense of being completely lost in a world without any guidance and then just figuring it out. But that is also something that can be tremendously frustrating, and I've said this before. There's a reason that video games have had the yellow paint epidemic. It's because enough people in playtesting complain in games that they don't know what they're doing and they don't know where they're supposed to go or what they can do, and then they get really frustrated. So then they put on yellow paint. And I think it's very easy to look at that and say, well, I don't like yellow paint. I think it's dumb. It's a dumb design idea. The whole idea of signposting is something that I'm against. And I do think there is some truth to the concept of a very good video game designer knows how to use everything in the environment in order to do signposting in ways that are more organic and fit better and make the player feel clever instead of just putting yellow paint on something. But I think there is another extreme to that, where if there is no signposting and the systems and mechanics of the game are convoluted and potentially obtuse, you are just going to be frustrated at a lot of stuff. And I think Crimson Desert has a high risk of that happening. If you're like me and this immersive world is enough for you to forgive some of that and just go for it, that'll be great. But I don't think that's everybody. And I also don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I think some people are looking at this game and potentially thinking that it's going to be an Assassin's Creed RPG style experience. Big gigantic map, different ways of traversing it, and then you go from outpost to outpost liberating stuff and getting your good boy points as you level up and become stronger and go tackle bigger and bigger strongholds. Typical open world fare. And I think those people will be severely disappointed with Crimson Desert. I also think there's a chance that you can make the game very repetitive for yourself if all you want to do is focus on that combat, no matter how much depth there is. And I think that that is one of the key things that might lead to people having a bad experience with the game, which is a game that really doesn't want to hold your hand at all and is this complex might have some severe pacing issues. It might have a very slow and frustrating and confusing start, and from there, if you don't play by the game's unwritten rules of how you should explore and power up and what you're supposed to undertake, you could find yourself going down a path that makes the game quote unquote worse, just because you're only focusing on one thing, for example. And I think those criticisms will come. Fortunately, though, I will say that one of the things that we've seen from previews that is very positive has been the story and the voice acting. It was honestly my biggest concern with the game, but that seems to not be that big of a concern. Can that voice acting and story hold up throughout the whole, however big this game is? We'll have to see, but it's very encouraging that I don't have to worry about that, and I can worry about other stuff that, honestly, to me, doesn't really affect me. Again, not making this video because I don't like Crimson Desert. I'm making this video because I worry that people are going to buy it when it's not for them. And I think that on paper, if you just glance over at it, one of the biggest open worlds ever created, one of the best looking games ever made. Deep, satisfying combat, and highly rewarding exploration, puzzle solving, and out-of-the-box thinking. Dude, sign me up. But for a lot of people, I fear this is going to be a needlessly large world with overly complex mechanics and an emphasis on immersion that ruins some of the more casual experience of the game. And especially, let's not pretend that very pretty graphics don't sell games and that they will eventually make people fall into it and then not actually like it. Which is why I think it's really important that you pay attention to reviews. I am a reviewer, I care for your wallet, I care for your time, so I'm always going to say, hey, listen to reviews, but I do think that in some cases, they're not the most important thing in the world. There are certain games that are a known quantity. You know what you're getting yourself into, and you probably already know if you're gonna like it or not. I don't think that's the case with Crimson Desert, because I don't think really anybody except Pearl Abyss knows exactly what this game is and what it offers to me. The review embargo for the game is a day before launch, which is coming up next week. And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people that's going to sit here and tell you that hyping a game is bad, and you should never be excited for things. I think that hype is like drinks, right? In the appropriate measure, it makes the experience a bit more fun, but indulging just a little bit too much in it can lead to a very rough night. So by all means, be hyped. But this is such a massive game with so many systems, and how they are balanced out in it could not be what we're expecting. So keep an eye on those reviews.
Okay, I was muted for some fucking reason. I'm sorry about that. Anyways. I am going to ask the AI. Hi, Jemmy. Can you talk to me about whether Crimson Desert is an MMO or not?
Actually, the Jimmy alias didn't quite stick. The user record says it's Jemmy now. As for Crimson Desert, it's a bit of a yes and no situation. It's launching next week, March 19, 2026. And here is the breakdown of what it actually is. The short answer: no, it's not an MMO. Pearl Abyss officially pivoted years ago. It is now a single-player, open-world action-adventure RPG.
That's all I need to know. God damn it. Oh, I'm not hyped for that game. What are the auto swing MMOs like EVE Online, FFXI, World of Warcraft? What else out there is auto swing besides OSRS? Star Trek Online. You know, I've never played that game.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Jeff Bulls Central. I wanted to do something a little interesting here today for a gaming video, because there's going to be some people in the audience, I can already feel you pulling away, because I'm discussing an unpopular game that is 15 years old, that was actually unpopular when it launched because it was not received very well. In fact, it was received so poorly that in less than 3 years it was a free game. And has remained free for over a decade now. This is Star Trek Online. Star Trek Online. It's the only MMO. Imagine.
Nope.
Yo, what's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, I appreciate you checking out this video.
Thank
Today
you,
is the
Toro
official
Frenzy.
launch
I'd
day
like to
of
sub to your
Abiotic
channel.
Factor. If you don't know what Abiotic Factor is, it's a first-person survival crafting game with a 90s horror sci-fi twist. You start the game as a newly transferred employee in an underground facility that you're gonna have to basically find your own food, water, resources, and fight off different aliens, anomalies, and factions that all want you dead. There's a lot of traits that will benefit you early on in the game, so kind of go through those and really make sure you pick which you think will help you. This isn't really a tips video, so I don't want to like give it away, but you know, pick what you like and just go with it, you know, just have fun with it. One thing I like about this game is it's massive, but you don't feel trapped in the underground. You'll be going to a lot of different hidden biomes and different areas, and when you go into those areas, you'll get new crafting material, new gear potentially, and then also like kind of fighting different enemies, so it doesn't keep you bored. And also there's always a story mission kind of pointing you where you need to head to next. So because I know I get stuck on a lot of like, well, what do I do next? This game does not do that at all. There's always a mission to do and there's always something to do, but you could also, you know, just have fun walking around your base, collecting gear and kind of just building whatever. Speaking of crafting, base building is huge in this game. You want to get a little safe location, but also there's a lot of locations that you can build in, and I've seen some crazy bases on YouTube. This is my current base, and it's still a work in progress. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. But yeah. Another great thing about this game, it is co-op. Up to 6 players can now play. It is cross-play now, so now you can play on Xbox, PlayStation, or PC. But it's a great single-player game either way. The lore, the crafting, the action will always keep you engaged. I have a solo run that I'm playing on my channel if you want to check it out. Description below. Cheap plug. The final reason I would recommend this game is the devs actually cared about this game. Even in early access, the game felt more polished than some of the new releases coming out nowadays. The devs constantly updated the players with fun devlogs, Q&As on their channels. Hell, even the publisher commented on my small channel, so they really care about the community. So let me know in the comments down below if you're going to be checking out this game.
Trying to have AI answer.
Stop. Stop. We watched a
Yo,
review
what's up,
about
everybody,
this
and welcome
game. I
back.
forget. He didn't even mention who makes it. This guy's a bad reviewer. Who makes this fucking game, you idiot? Yeah, we watched a Code Carnage about Abiotic Factor once, and it did look.
Nope. One. Yeah, we did it! Wow, dude, that was awesome. That was hilarious. Oh man, that was a total troll area. I love it. I feel like I just finished an epic story, but it is the beginning of a more epic story. That's what it feels like. And God, I hope the devs can deliver on that. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I just wrapped up my Abiotic Factor run after just over 100 hours. I can safely say, now that I'm done with it, that it has been one of the most fulfilling survival exploration playthroughs that I have ever done. I'm gonna need to talk to these devs when I'm done playing and give them a list of things to never put in this game, because if they do, I'll be forced to just play it for the rest of my life, and no one has time for that. When you first look at this game, it's a little deceptive. The graphics are retro, which isn't the deceptive part, but looking at the character models, looking at the world, it appears that the veneer is a little simplistic, but it's still enjoyable. So when I started playing it, the very first time with a couple friends, I had a good time, I saw potential.
What was that? I need that. I'm gonna take it though.
You need to don't laugh at me! So many things that are kind of unique to this style of game, while at the same time, all the stuff it does is like a really good interpretation of it. Of course, it has problems, and there's some weird bugs here and there. The level design is phenomenal. The level in this, you're basically playing Half-Life 1 as a Dark Souls world in a survival sandbox. And what I mean by that is like, they have crafted this world to where you start an office, you kind of methodically work through that, you unlock a tram. Great, so we just connected like so many different areas here. This is awesome. Which then kind of circles around. While you're doing this, you're opening all these shortcuts and all these different entrances back to the beginning. Tram yourself to the next area, work your way back to office, open up new shortcuts, find zip lines. All of a sudden you now have a vehicle. Like, it's this constant discovery, constant progression. And as somebody who loves exploring, it is so cool that you're constantly getting these little dopamine hits of like, oh, that's that area, that connects here. Oh, we just opened up a shortcut. Very few survival sandbox games elicit that. And this game does it so well that it has actually become like a feature. On top of that, insanely deep systems. Like, everywhere you go in this world, there are new items, new things to pick up, new things to break down, tons of recipes. The crafting system is the kind of thing where you'll learn something and then you need to craft it so you'll learn more things. This game is a dopamine simulator. There's so many little things.
Oh, I got in 60 seconds before it was over.
Every time you use anything, you're gaining experience.
Not qualified.
In that skill. Maybe it's got a level. You're gonna get new perks.
All that travel for
there's
no
like a
reason.
whole, like the QOL and base building is pretty great as well. So you can like set up little bases everywhere. There's like, or not at all if you don't want to. You can set up like little mobile fobs and kind of just keep moving forward. Full story is also pretty interesting and offers a lot of different ways to play too. So you can do like stealthy melee, you can do like range, you can do throwing. I just discovered throwing, which has been a lot of fun. But the thing about it is it's just huge. You can edit and change a game world however you want, so it's very grounded in that regard. So for instance, there was a zip line that went into a dumpster, and I didn't really like how it functioned. So first I tried putting cushions on the ground to cushion my fall. Didn't really like that, so I ended up adding a shelf into the dumpster so I land on the shelf instead. And you can do that anywhere. Want to get up on that ledge on the way back to your base easily? Cool, you can build a ramp, you can build a jump pad, you could build a little base there and then just build stairs. Like, it's very, very free in terms of what it offers the player in interacting with the game world. On top of that, This game's world is insanely interesting. It's not only been a wildly fun game to play, but the story and everything is crazy interesting. It's like rooted kind of in real science. They use like real sciencey terminology.
Really intriguing specimens. These priests or monks show clear indication of tool making and ritualistic behavior.
It feels very well thought out as you're moving through it. I feel like, as we talk about a lot on this channel, that game dev is iterative, and part of iterative game dev is building on what previous dev companies have made successful. And most importantly, when doing that, learning the previous lessons from those devs and not making the same mistakes. And the games that we tend to love the most, the games that seem to have the most passion in them, are the games where you can really feel like that's the case. That the devs didn't just make the game, but they also play the heck out of the game, and they've also played all the games that it's based on. They fundamentally understand what they're making, and then make this new thing. That is Abiotic Factor. Abiotic Factor is a survival exploration game that you can tell was made by people that fundamentally understand this genre. There is a level of power increase and discovery that is literally there for the entire 100-hour adventure that I took. That is baffling. Most of these games, there's almost always some inherent flaw in the main design. Like most survival games generally are lacking somewhere because these games are so big, you have to kind of make sacrifices. This is one of the first times I feel like that has not been the case. I loved the graphics and the throwback. I loved the sound design. It all fit and worked perfectly. The QOL and evolving QOL in this game is one of the first times I have ever played a game where I'm like, this rivals Grounded. Like what you can do in this game is actually comparable in many ways to Grounded in terms of how it progresses, in terms of how it is introduced to the player, in terms of the mechanics the player does, which you then get a new item, which fundamentally changes how that mechanic functions. This literally happened on the 95th hour of my 100-hour playthrough. Again, just baffling. This stuff doesn't really happen. So, without making this video much longer, here's what I want to say. Abiotic Factor is Half-Life 1 plus a Dark Souls map system plus some of the best evolving QOL and survival exploration mechanics I have done. All of this together makes a package that is one of the best in the genre. And then on top of that, the world that Abiotic Factor is in, well written, well voice acted.
Oops, borrowed your stapler.
Yeah. Give me that sweet stapler.
With you around, work really feels like a second family.
Incredibly immersive, actually believable. These are people that clearly went to great lengths to make even their science weird jargon sound believable. And you add that into everything else when it comes to that immersion, and it creates a package that, again, I'm having a hard time coming up with other games I would compare this to, just because of how unique and awesome this combination is. Playing a game like Abiotic Factor is incredibly inspiring to me, because I'm also working on a game right now that I'm not going to promote, but I will say that
Speak quickly.
I'm listening. Victory for Sylvanus.
Oh, the heavier drone doesn't jerk around as much. I like that more. Oh, here's a Cormorant Navy. I'm either gonna fight him off or kill him, one or the other. Yeah, fuck off.
To give the command to a drone requires you to have an active target. To give the command to a drone requires you to have an active target.
I'm looking for like the WoW hardcore. It's like survival MMO that can be shared with others, but it doesn't reset you ever, and that's what I'm looking for. And I've mastered 76. I don't know. Maybe I should go back to Once Human, but I want a game that's passive that is kind of a survival MMO. Maybe I should go back to FFXI hardcore. I'm doing better in hardcore this time. I'm lasting longer. I'm taking it slower. I like hardcore. I could play a red mage all the way up. It would take so fucking long. It would take so long. Well, at least I beat him off. That's what she said. Once Human is an option, but it's not a passive game, and neither is 7 Days to Die. I think FFXI actually fits better here, or like a Mortal. Mortal, maybe I should just pay for Mortal. I think I should pay for Mortal maybe and just keep going. I'm not playing Mortal. I don't know. I'm liking the magic, and I'm realizing that I want to play a caster like Oblivion. Oblivion caster is really fun to me, and I want gameplay like that. I'm not finding it really. I shouldn't have lost my thief. I had a 25 thief that was doing just fine. And I was drunk and I took her through. I was distracted and I took her through to Sea Serpent Grotto, or not Grotto, but Norg, which is even that bad of a trip. And I lost that run, which was so dumb. So dumb. Okay, this was good. And a vendor.
Be quick about your business.
Ugh, each stack is like
Do
10
not
silver, which
seek
is
death.
nothing. It's not really worth it, but... Oops. I guess I could switch over. I'm in the middle of a thing right now. That's fairly cinematic. Large or medium drones or whatever these are, I think they're large actually. They're much more fun to watch because they don't spin around all crazy and make you spin sick. Did I get far away? Where am I? Where am I now? Go back. I'm 120 km away. Go right back to it. Why? Why am I 100 km away? I must have double-clicked by mistake.
Speak quickly. Watch your back.
Skyrim hardcore could be an option. See, I want cinematic battle like this that I can just like pay attention to but not really care about. I don't really think it exists. These NPCs are walking around and it's like weirding me out. Oops. Okay, so
And you are.
Troll hall. For the horde.
I'm gonna cap this site and duck up, and I'm gonna log to Eve. I mean, actually, it's bedtime. I'll come back in the morning, I guess. Trying to figure out some game to play in the background. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I went to the weaponsmith. Yeah, I did repair for silver. Yeah. Oh, I got some of towards a level here. I'm beginning to really like the grind because it's like simple. Killed some new turtles.
Warp drive active. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
I'm gonna try and make it easier for me to log into Eve on GeForce Now, and I'm gonna start running Eve on GeForce Now. And kind of more maining that. I think I'm actually enjoying Faction Warfare the most. I'm just gonna embrace that. So if I log into Legion, I have to do a bit of login here on my email to get a code from them, which is so annoying every single time I log in. That is going to be a pain in the fucking ass. But we can do it. I have it all set up to do. I want to add an account. Wait, can I? Yeah, I guess I'll have to just log in. Yeah, so add an account. Okay, I will run Eve on GeForce now. It's going to be a pain in the ass when it logs me all the time. I know it is, but you know, then I will try running WoW on mine. Yes, and then play WoW. And then I want to try the performance of Oblivion. Odd. Try again. Oh, never mind, you're in. Okay, good. Runs well. High frames. Looks good. Okay, are we good here? Yeah, looks good to me here. I'm not sure. This is a different client, so it has a different, like, login.
Warp drive active.
It feels like it's running better. Why did the screen go black? Screen went black.
Warp drive active.
Speak.
This isn't it, is it? Nope. The game's not optimized, and I would have to run it on GeForce Now. Why did the screen go black? What the hell? Oh, there's my frames. It was capped. Vertical sync was on. Oh my god. This phone's dying. Keep it plugged in. There we go. 2 o'clock. I should go to bed, but I'm not tired. I don't know. It's. Oh yes, Thursday night, huh? Didn't we just kill them? I don't have Skyrim installed. I did have a non-modded run I was playing, huh? Yeah, install it. Fuck it. I should always have this installed in some place I can play it. I think it's FFXI hardcore, as crazy as it is. I think I prepped my character, but I'm going to go look, and I'm going to delete her, and I'm going to make a new hardcore character. No, not hardcore, no. Oh, here's a Caracal Navy.
Warp drive active.
Oh no. I'm dead. Why is there a Caracal on me? Good fight. Jackass, cocksucker. Dishonorable fucking cocksucking effort. Loser ass piece of shit. Come in outclassing people. Can't I get a fucking actual fight? Instead of somebody who just absolutely is gonna kill me no matter what. That's how these fights are. They fucking suck. Can't I get like a not a fair fight, but at least one that I could possibly win, you know? No, not any of online. It's always about being unfair and scummy and honorless. That's the community. They're unfair, scummy, honorless, and low IQ pieces of shit. They think they're smart. They're not. Or they'd have more honor. The devs, too. The devs are some of the worst in the business. Fucking game based around being dishonorable. Game based on robbery. Now, why is all that weird? Shouldn't... Okay. Could do it. So loud. Oh god. Sorry about that. Oh, she has stuff. Is there stuff in the storage though? I don't think there is, right? Oh, there is. There is stuff on the storage. Damn it. So dumb. She has lots of fire crystals. That's cool. Going to go to bed now. I let more time fly by. I realize that I like night a lot more because there's less distractions. I can get more done, and so I always end up running later and later as I try to embrace the night. Oh, but they're like the same things I have already. But they'll sell. These things will sell. Nice. They have 37 armor. Mine has 37 armor. They're the same exact thing I have. It's kind of a rare drop, actually, but... Yeah. So you... And you, and you, and you. these things before I send them. I would depart out of Jita, yeah. And I will stop this video here. You have been watching Skycat Live. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. Put me on in the background. Click on the cast face to donate. Come to my YouTube channel or my Twitch channel or come to my website, which is skycat.live, and click on the cast face to donate. Come to the YouTube. Give me a like, sub, or a follow. And I love you guys. Thank you so much. I will be back tomorrow, but I'm going to go to bed. And I recorded this entire session in its 13.5-hour length, and I'm going to place it on my YouTube channel where there's thousands of other channels and thousands of other videos. And if you like what you saw here, come check out my channel. I will be back tomorrow. I love you guys. I'm going to stop this video here,